Hi everyone, this is Leanne and this is From the Heart. And today I'm doing a part 2 episode on the medical management of gender dysphoria. This episode isn't for everyone, but I do hope that it's informative, especially to people who have children to take care of and are surrounded by children, so that in the context of the culture that we are living in today, that we can understand how we are affecting our children's brains. And what we're doing culturally. So basically, I did an episode a year and a half ago, and that took me a long time to gather all of the information up and then make a presentation out of it, basically. So that the purpose of that was really to inform people so that we can best make decisions and have discussions with our really young kids. About, like, of course it has to be at an age appropriate level of what that looks like, but I know that children in schools are seeing at a very young age like children that are deciding to change their identity. And so this is something, like, if parents were to be educated on and how we manage that medically, we could actually, influence what we are doing. And that can start at home, and then eventually that builds over time culturally as well. So a few things that I didn't say last time. This one here, it was about autogynephilia. And what that is, it's a fetish. This is why I didn't talk about it, because it's controversial, and I also don't want hate towards people who are trans either. So this is a fetish of a reason why people might want to become trans or label themselves as trans, and it is a reason that can show up as a boy gets into puberty, basically. So what it is, and it's different from cross-dressing. The cross-dressing is when someone who is gay is dressing up with a lot, makeup and things like that, and it's more for theatrical reasons. There's no sexual kind of fetish behind it. And when it comes to the fetish, it is the fetish of a boy turning into a female so that they can have lesbian sex after. So that's what it is. And it's, hard to say. But anyways, that's just what it is. And that is another reason. I was explaining the reasons in the other episode, but that's another reason and a thing to know about in this culture. A reason that someone would want to become trans. And that reason, that particular reason, is apparently increasing today. It's also controversial, I will say, because treating gender dysphoria with plastic surgery, a lifetime of plastic surgery, and a lifetime of medication is in good part covered by OHIP, or by, depending what province you're in, your health insurance coverage. And so that's different from province to province, but it is controversial. It's very controversial that we can't even assess for those things in the first place, but then controversial to do that to someone's body who is doing it because it's a fetish. I do talk about detransitioning in the other episode. So another thing that I found out is that there are adults, teachers, who are warning us about people preying on these children. So apparently in schools, they put up these um, posters on children's bathroom doors at the level of a child's eyesight, basically. So at the level of a 5-year-old, or um, and then the numbers that they put out for people who feel differently about themselves are at that level where children can go and rip one of those numbers off. There are teachers who pretended that they were kids, and they really felt that where it was going um, was very predatory. And so it's another thing for people to know of and to be really careful and have discussions with your kids about who they're texting and who they're messaging on their phones and who they have access to, because they're basically having access to the entire world. Um, yeah, so that's another piece of it. Another thing that I found out is that out of the teenagers that are taken out of their homes by Children's Aid Society, that's what it's called in Ontario. There are other names in every province, but half of the teenagers that are taken out of their parents' homes are because the parents have concerns around how we're treating gender dysphoria with a lifetime of plastic surgery and medication that have lots of side effects that we don't discuss. And then, well, this is adding a huge layer because there's information. Okay, what do we do about it? And then what happens if a child decides to that they feel differently about their body, that they're uncomfortable in their body? And so, as it's information, I honestly really feel heartbroken about this, especially from the things that I know and the friends and the people that I know that have had foster care. And I know that in foster care, it's not always safe for children in there. Um, so um, something something we need to just kind of understand of what's happening in our culture. Um, do I know the solution? I really think that it is surrounding ourselves when our children are really young, but no matter what, even if your child is older, surrounding yourself with people who are of a mindset that of understanding what we are doing, basically. Yeah, it's choosing what we are surrounding our kids with, um, and having a really good eye on who the children's friends are, the teachers, what they're teaching, looking at the content and the material potentially. It's adding a lot of uh, of work for parents, basically, but worth it if your child's mental health is positively affected. Um, and then talking to kids about all these things. I haven't, in my mind, I hope to be able to create something for children of different ages because of the things that we're seeing in the world. Um, but that this one is a difficult one. But one thing I will say is don't add shame because your children are like they might have a friend who has that, who is feeling uncomfortable in their body. And so if we add shame, eventually that could um, make us like that could come back to us. Like it could just be a way for the child to rebel when they are teenagers, right? So I would be prudent about being respectful of people who label themselves differently. And if like a little boy wants to put nail polish on because they see their sister doing it and their sister's getting the mommy's attention at the moment, like we need to understand that it's not a child. This is not a boy who wants to be a girl, and that we don't need to shame him because he wants that attention. he wants to put nail polish on for attention, but he doesn't have that wording. Mama, I want attention. That's not it, right? So he's like, Mama, I want the nail polish too, right? So shaving her head and putting jeans on and like whatever, like it's not about taking those things seriously. It's not about shaming the children with those sorts of things. I'm saying this just because I've seen it. It adds a different layer, and then you have to do more education. It's just adding so much more work to the entire thing. So, yeah, I'm just trying to see if I have anything else to say on this, but yeah, I don't think I do. And so, anyways, I hope that the 2 episodes are helpful, and just seeing things from a factual standpoint, rather than trying to diss someone. Like, I'm not here to ask and stump someone about what the definition of a woman is. Like, that's not my point. It really is, how can we keep our children safe? And then if there is the need for a medical intervention that can be done when they're well into adulthood, like 30 plus. I really think it should be 30 plus. And I think there needs to be a big change in how we assess these people and how we treat those people. And a reminder that all of us are affected by mental health at some point in our lives, with anxiety or depression, PTSD, etc. And it's up to us to help ourselves with all these things that we have in place. Community, also, like, it doesn't have to be expensive. Community, it can be therapy, it can be meditation, it can be like just basic lifestyle choices. But that anxiety that you might have had 5 years ago does not define who you are now, and the anxiety you have now is not going to define who you are in 15 years or in 3 years or tomorrow. So I'm just making a point that mental health is not something that's necessarily forever. Yeah. Okay. I hope everyone has a nice day. And thank you for listening.